Millie Calloway is a woman with a troubled past. After serving time in prison, she struggles to rebuild her life, moving from one low-paying job to another while battling homelessness. Desperate for stability, she applies for a position as a live-in housemaid for the wealthy Winchester family. To her surprise, Nina Winchester, the elegant and poised lady of the house, hires her despite her criminal record. The job offers a generous salary, a luxurious home to live in, and the chance to start over, something Millie desperately needs. At first, the Winchesters seem like the perfect employers. Nina is polished and sophisticated, though somewhat cold and controlling. She gives Millie strict instructions on how to maintain the household, emphasizing that everything must be done to her exact standards. The Winchesters' young daughter, Cecilia, is sweet but shy, and Millie quickly grows fond of her. However, it's Andrew Winchester, Nina's husband, who stands out the most. Unlike his wife, he is warm, charming, and surprisingly attentive to Millie. He goes out of his way to make her feel welcome, sneaking her extra food when Nina isn't looking, and even warning her that his wife can be difficult. As days pass, Millie begins to notice strange things about the Winchester household. Nina's behavior is erratic, sometimes overly friendly, other times inexplicably cruel. She imposes bizarre rules, like forbidding Millie from leaving her attic room at night or speaking to anyone outside the family. The house itself feels oppressive, with locked doors and an unsettling silence that lingers in the halls. Millie tries to dismiss her growing unease, convincing herself that she's lucky to have this job. But when she accidentally stumbles upon old newspaper clippings about a previous housemaid who mysteriously disappeared, her suspicions deepen. Andrew continues to show Millie kindness, confiding in her about his unhappy marriage. He claims Nina is unstable, even dangerous, and that he stays only for Cecilia's sake. Millie, lonely and vulnerable, finds herself drawn to him. Their secret conversations and stolen glances create a forbidden tension, but she can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. Why would a man like Andrew, handsome and wealthy, take such an interest in her? And why does Nina watch her with such intensity, as if waiting for her to make a mistake? One night, Millie wakes to the sound of footsteps outside her attic room. When she investigates, she finds Nina standing in the dark, staring at her with an unnerving smile. Nina claims she was just checking on her, but the encounter leaves Millie shaken. Soon after, small but sinister things begin happening. Her belongings go missing, her food tastes strange, and she starts hearing whispers when no one is around. She wonders if she's losing her mind or if someone is deliberately trying to frighten her. Andrew insists that Nina is behind it all, warning Millie that his wife has a history of manipulating people. He reveals that the previous housemaid didn't just disappear. She died under suspicious circumstances, and Nina was the last person to see her alive. Millie is horrified, but also conflicted. She wants to believe Andrew, yet she can't ignore the nagging doubt that he might not be entirely truthful. The tension escalates when Nina accuses Millie of stealing a valuable necklace. Despite Millie's protests, Nina threatens to call the police, reminding her that no one would believe an ex-convict over a respected socialite. Panicked, Millie realizes she's trapped. If she leaves, she has nowhere to go. If she stays, she may be in real danger. Just as Millie considers running away, Andrew makes a shocking proposal. He wants to leave Nina and take Millie with him. He promises her safety, a new life, and a future together. But can she trust him? And if she stays, what will Nina do to her? As Millie grapples with Andrew's shocking proposal to leave Nina, she finds herself torn between desperation and doubt. On one hand, the idea of escaping the oppressive Winchester household is irresistible. On the other, she can't shake the feeling that Andrew's kindness might be another layer of deception. Why would a wealthy, powerful man risk everything for her? A housemaid with a criminal past. Yet, with Nina's threats looming over her, Millie feels she has no choice but to trust him. Things take a darker turn when Nina's behavior becomes increasingly erratic. One evening, Millie overhears a heated argument between the couple, with Nina screaming accusations and Andrew responding in a low, dangerous tone. The next morning, Nina is eerily calm, acting as though nothing happened. She even offers Millie a rare compliment, praising her work, a gesture that feels more like a warning than kindness. Millie's paranoia grows, especially when she discovers her journal has been tampered with, pages torn out as if someone has been monitoring her private thoughts. Andrew secretly assures Millie that his plan to leave Nina is still in motion, but he needs more time. He asks her to be patient, to play along with Nina's games until they can safely escape. Millie agrees, though every day in the house feels like a ticking time bomb. Then, one night, she witnesses something that changes everything. While passing Nina's bedroom, she sees her employer standing in front of a mirror, whispering to herself, except the words aren't Nina's own. She's repeating phrases Millie had written in her stolen journal, mimicking her voice with terrifying precision. Realizing Nina has been studying her, Millie's fear reaches a breaking point. She confronts Andrew, demanding the truth. Reluctantly, he confesses that Nina has done this before. She becomes obsessed with their housemaids, copying their mannerisms, isolating them, and eventually driving them to madness, or worse. The previous maid didn't just disappear. She was found dead in the woods behind the estate, ruled a suicide. But Andrew insists it was Nina's doing. He begs Millie to leave with him immediately, before it's too late. Just as they're about to flee, Nina appears in the doorway, her expression chillingly serene. She reveals she knew about their plan all along. Andrew had been feeding her every detail. The betrayal hits Millie like a physical blow. Andrew wasn't trying to save her. He was part of Nina's sick game. The couple had been testing her, seeing how far they could push her before she broke. Nina smiles as she tells Millie the truth. She enjoys breaking down women like her, women who think they can steal her life. Locked in her attic room, Millie realizes the full horror of her situation. The Winchesters have done this before, and no one believes the word of a disgraced housemaid over a powerful family. But Millie isn't like the others. She's fought too hard to survive. Searching the room for anything she can use as a weapon, she discovers a loose floorboard and, beneath it, a hidden note from the previous maid. It's a desperate plea for help, along with a damning revelation. Nina isn't the real villain. Andrew is. The note explains that Andrew manipulates Nina, feeding her delusions and encouraging her cruelty. He gets rid of housemaids who uncover his secrets, financial fraud, hidden debts, even past affairs. The suicides were all staged. Armed with this knowledge, Millie formulates a plan. When Nina next comes to torment her, Millie plays along, pretending to be broken. She feeds Nina's ego, telling her she was right all along, that Andrew never cared about her. For the first time, Nina hesitates. That hesitation is all Millie needs. She escapes the attic and finds Cecilia, who, in a heartbreaking moment, whispers that she's scared of her father. Millie knows she can't leave the little girl behind. Gathering evidence, Andrew's hidden documents, recorded arguments, the maid's note, she manages to call the police from a hidden phone in Andrew's study. But before they arrive, Andrew returns. A violent confrontation ensues. Andrew, realizing Millie knows too much, attacks her. But Nina, finally seeing the truth about her husband, intervenes. In a shocking twist, she turns on Andrew, revealing that she's known his true nature for years. But her fear and dependence kept her silent. The police arrive to find Andrew restrained, Nina in tears, and Millie holding Cecilia protectively. In the aftermath, the Winchester's facade crumbles. Andrew is arrested for fraud, obstruction of justice, and suspected involvement in the previous maid's death. Nina, though legally implicated, is placed under psychiatric care, her mental state too fragile for trial. Millie, now free, is left to pick up the pieces of her life. But this time, she's not alone. With Cecilia, placed in her temporary care, as Nina requested, in a rare moment of clarity, Millie finds purpose in protecting the girl who, like her, was a pawn in Andrew's games. The book ends with Millie standing outside the Winchester mansion one last time before walking away. She's no longer the desperate woman who first entered those doors. She's a survivor, and as she takes Cecilia's hand, stepping into an uncertain but hopeful future, one thing is clear: the housemaid outplayed them all. Final thoughts. The Housemaid is a gripping tale of psychological manipulation, survival, and the lengths people will go to for power. Freida McFadden masterfully twists perceptions, making readers question who to trust until the final pages. Millie's journey, from vulnerable outsider to cunning survivor, leaves a lasting impact, reminding us that sometimes the quietest voices hold the most strength.